folks, and welcome to Subjective Thoughts. And our book for today is The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells and published by Penguin. Now, there is fighting, killing, murder, blood, shooting, mutilation, and experiments in this one. So if you are in any way squeamish, you have been warned. Also, spoilers. Alright, so this is my already third H.G. Wells book that I've read. Before this I read War of the Worlds and The Invisible Man. And this is the one I wanted to read next by H.G. Wells, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Especially after I saw a bit about Dr. Moreau in the comic League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And no spoilers, it just appears at some point. And I was like, ooh, this I gotta read. And a friend of mine from England, she sent me this for my birthday. Because I unfortunately couldn't find it here for some reason. Okay, so let's get into the story. So this is the 1800s. We have a young man telling us how we're about to read the account of his uncle, Edward Pendrick, who has disappeared in the seas for about 11 months to a year. And now after that he came back, and we're about to read his account of what happened on the island that he's been at. A little bit reminded me of old H.P. Lovecraft. H.G. Wells, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, it reminded me of, because we get the account of someone who's been through the horror. And anyway, so he tells us that, and then we get to the account of Edward Pendrick. So Edward Pendrick was at the time a young man. He was traveling around looking, and he was on board of the Lady Vane, a ship that unfortunately sank. Now he and two other men were able to get onto some sort of lifeboat, but they've been at sea for 8 days, in which their food and water ran out. And then the other two men that were with them started fighting, and both of them disappeared in the ocean. And that, like a minute later, he was saved. He was at this point dehydrated and starving, and he couldn't at first make out what was happening, and then he woke up in a ship. He was rescued by a ship that was going to the island of Dr. Moreau. He was rescued by Montgomery, and this weird attendant that, as Pendrick describes him, is very hideous. He's very ugly, and they can't figure out what is wrong with him. But he just looks at him, and something's just wrong. And he can't put his finger on it, and so, there's not much that Pendrick can do. He's still very weak from no food and water, and he's pretty much stuck with the ship. And by the time they reach the island, now the captain of this little ship is mean drunk, and he basically, he won't take Pendrick anywhere with him, because Montgomery with his attendant, they're carrying to the island cages of animals. And the whole ship, the deck is dirty, and the captain just wants to get rid of all of them. Excuse me. Still coughing. He wants to get rid of all of them, so he tells Pendrick to get off. He basically pushes him off the ship. And Pendrick thinks that's it, because he's pushed on this little sort of raft thing. But then the other attendants that arrive to help Montgomery unload everything, because Montgomery tells him, you can't go with us on the island. But the other attendants probably feel bad for him. Excuse me. And they go and they rescue him. And so Pendrick arrives on the island of Dr. Moreau. So then and he notices that the attendants too are very weird looking. And he wonders what ethnicity they are and why they look like that. And he notices strange things about Montgomery's attendant. So then they go further into the island, and they reach the enclosure, and that's when he also meets Dr. Moreau, which is explained by Montgomery that, now he's there with them, but they're not going to let him into their confidence yet. So they go into the enclosure, and Pendrick is going to stay in Montgomery's room. And now the door into deeper into the enclosure is locked, so he doesn't get in there. And so that's how the first day goes. He gets food and water. And he's wondering what's going on. And then the next day, he just leaves the enclosure to go around. Because he cannot handle the cries of the puma that was brought with them. So the puma is constantly cries out in pain. And so he goes out into the island in order to, one moment, sorry, I'm back. So he goes out to the enclosure and he walks around and now the other thing that Montgomery brought was rabbits. A lot of rabbits to multiply and have meat on the island. So he sees on his way as he walks around a beheaded rabbit. Someone gonned its head off. And then he feels like he's being followed, and he's just terrified of what is happening. And he keeps walking, and he starts to see more of these weird creatures. And he ends up going back into the enclosure at the end of the day. He's just terrified of what he's possibly seen. Because he sees this creature that bends down to drink water, but although it looks like a man from afar, it does not drink water like a man. And he just doesn't know what's going on. So he runs back to the enclosure. And on that day, when he gets back, he gets dinner. Montgomery tells him we're busy, but he forgets to lock the door. And because of that, Pendrick ends up seeing what really happens in the enclosure. The experimentation, then he runs away because he's terrified. He thinks that Dr. Moreau is going to use him for these experiments too. Because he sees what he's done, so he starts running away. And is chased by Dr. Moreau, Pendrick, and the attendants. And he's chased all throughout the island, and he goes and hides with the beast people as he comes to know them. And he sees that they're all so strange looking. And he thinks that they are men that were turned into these sort of animal creatures. So he hides with them and he learns of their ways because he hears them recite the law. And the law is basically they must act human. They cannot revert back to acting like animals, like walk up straight. Don't suck the water as you drink it. All sorts of things like that. And so but then, in the end, he is caught up by Dr. Moreau in Montgomery after he almost drowns himself. Well, not exactly. He wants to drown himself to not be taken and experimented on. But he learns that that's not what is actually going to happen. He walks back to the enclosure, and Moreau tells him what is going on here. Now, Montgomery's been on the island for 11 years almost with Moreau, after he's done something in London. He used to be a medical student, and somehow he has met Moreau and so joined him. Montgomery has been mocked his whole life. He has a lisp and a droopy lip. And he's ginger, from what I remember. Yeah, I think he's ginger. No, sorry, the captain was ginger. Anyway, Dr. Moreau sits down with Hendrik and tells him that what he does is vivisecation. I think I should have listened to how to pronounce the word before. But and I might be mispronouncing it, but this is what he does to these animals. He tells them, this has been attempted before, think of regular surgery, or what can be done. It's just no one was willing to take it this far, to experiment like this. I turn these animals into human men. I take parts of them and I turn them into something else. I've done all these experiments. Only once I've tried, I think turning, a creature, make a creature together with something, but he ended up killing it. He has experimented a lot, basically, for these 11 years, made two animals together, all in the hopes of making these humanoid animals, basically. The fingers, taking parts from this, from that, all that he's done with it. And he talks of his early experiments and how far he's come and how there's more and how they keep reverting back. How the animal part of them still tries to come out. So the sounds of it, he has to keep doing corrections on them. Which explains, because the beast people, they call the enclosure the House of Pain. And those who break the law go to the House of Pain, meaning when they start to revert, if they are caught, they are punished. And they're brought back, and probably the surgery gets redone. Ugh. And Pendrick just doesn't believe it. He says, the Dr. Moreau tells him, you don't understand it. You see this in a moral light. But think of what can be achieved. Basically, Dr. Moreau is, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Excuse me. And so, everything's against me in full week today. Sirens coughing. So the Bendrick learns of what is happening on the island of Dr. Moreau. And so that's it. Well, what else can he do? No ship is going to come in a long time. And so he must just stay there. Is, of course, again, before this, he thought that they were men. Just regular men that had been turned into beasts. But now he knows the truth, and they're actually animals that were turned as humanoid as possible. Based on the descriptions, although some of them can appear to look very human. Not all of them are so successful. And definitely probably wouldn't be able to be taken out into the, among regular people. So after this, some time passes, and then things begin to go very poorly. Because the catastrophe happens. The puma, female puma, who's the current victim, manages to escape its restraints in the enclosure. And Dr. Moreau goes after it in order to kill it. But then he doesn't come back for a long time. Then Montgomery runs after him with his attendant, who's a sort of goat humanoid creature. And so he goes after his attendant, after Dr. Moreau, but then can't find him. And also Pendrick breaks his arm from all this. And then so the Montgomery comes back, and he drinks old Montgomery. Starts drinking, but then Moreau's like, Pendrick's like, come on, we have to find him. We have to see what happened to him. Because before this happens, one of the animals has tasted blood. Because some of them are carnivores, and this is something Montgomery and Moreau were very strict of noticing. Because they knew as soon as they tasted blood, things would go poorly. And so they have, after that. Sorry. So anyway, they find the body of the puma and the body of Dr. Moreau. He has been killed after a struggle with the puma. Now Pendrick thinks quickly and tells the beast people, sorry, just a moment. Pendrick thinks quickly and tells the beast people that Montgomery, his body is no longer there, but he is up there watching them. And those who break the law will still be punished. And so they must uphold the law. But after that, again, things continue to escalate. They go back to the enclosure, and Montgomery loses it, because, again, 11 years on the island with Dr. Moreau. And he just goes out drinking, and Pendrick stays in the enclosure and thinks on how he's going to escape. To escape the island and leave Montgomery there, behind in the beast people as well. But things don't work out that way, because Montgomery goes out to drink with the beast people, and Pendrick hears a racket outside. At first he doesn't pay too much attention, but then he runs out, and he sees that a scuffle has started. And Montgomery has killed the sayer of the law, the sort of goat creature. And so he is killed. He takes it off of Montgomery, but Montgomery's not too well. And also, when Pendrick ran out, he accidentally dropped the lamp, and a fire has started. And so the enclosure is burning. Montgomery dies, and also Pendrick realizes that he has destroyed the two boats, because there's a big fire, and he wonders where Montgomery got the wood, and then he sees where. So after that, Montgomery's all alone. Pendrick. He does command the animals, though, somewhat, and makes them throw the bodies out into the sea. And then he starts to live among the beast people. There's one of them that's a Saint Bernard man. And the Saint Bernard man is loyal to him. I think because of the dog genes. So Pendrick stays with him, but there's another hyena man that he must avoid. And so the animals also start reverting back to, the way they were. No more, they start to revert like Dr. Moreau has told him. And there's no one there to correct them, and I don't perceive Pendrick as the next Moreau. And so as they're reverting, eventually Pendrick kills the hyena man, who's the only other one that has tasted blood. And then he works as best as he can to make a boat to take him away, to escape the island. And eventually he does. A boat comes, a small one, and on it there are two men. As it turns out, they're dead. It's unclear where they came from, how they ended up there, but Pendrick takes the boat, gets himself water, as much fruit as he can, gets on it, and leaves the island behind him. And then luckily he's picked up. And at first he tells his rescuers what happened, but they don't believe him. They think he's crazy. And in order to avoid being sent to the loony bin, he avoids insisting further and just pretends that he doesn't remember what happened these 11 months to him. And so he just goes back to his life. Well, not exactly. He now avoids people. When he comes back after he recovers, he goes out to live on the outskirts somewhere away from people and learns chemistry and astrology. And he can no longer really be among people because he constantly thinks, like on the island, they're going to revert back. He just cannot not feel safe or trust there. So that's it. That is his account of what happened to him. Like his nephew told us in the beginning. And that he hopes what does he say? Excuse me. So unfortunate that I'm still recovering from that cold. One moment, sorry. There we go. And so, in hope and solitude, my story ends. He says. And that's it. That's the island of Dr. Moreau. Alright, so first cover. I like this one. It's got, the weird looking all over. You got the eye there, the bugs, the monkeys. Maybe that's the puma's mouth. And you see the brain there. Some interesting stuff. Alright, on to the story. So, Mr. H.G. Wells has not disappointed. This was so bizarre, yet so cool. It is so interesting. I did see that there were movies, but it looks like they've added stuff in there, and I would have just liked to, if I saw a movie, just to really just see Pendrick and him going through this whole thing. And the concept of this is so fascinating, of what Dr. Moreau has decided to do and how Well, I suppose scientifically probably just amazing, but if you're not into the science, it's just horrifying what he has put these animals through. Again, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. When you think about it, this is just horrifying. How he added animals together, created them, turned them humanoid. And not in, what we might perceive as all just, some, cute little features. Like, you got a humanoid body and, you get a tail or some ears or something. Now, this is full-on nightmare fuel. Like, combined features, deformed bodies, fucked up hands, the whole shebang. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine how you'd make a surgery like that. How would you perform it? But it's just amazing and fucking horrifying at the same time. And obviously why he would have to go do this in an island. Because can you imagine if it was somewhere on the outskirts of, let's say, London? And at some point, someone would have heard all these screams of agony from the animals and come to see what the hell's going on. And imagine stumbling upon this. Because after Dr. Moreau dies, there's more experiments in the enclosure. And Montgomery and Pendrick kill all of them. Put them out of their misery. Jesus. Because also, now here's an instance where I wish a book was longer. I wish there was more. Why did Dr. Moreau decide to do it? How did he find this island? Why did he decide to even make these creatures? Now, one thing, these creatures would mate, but often their offspring would not survive. But those who did, he would experiment on. And again, what would have been his end with these creatures? What would he have wanted to do with them, really? Would he have wanted to what? Just see if he can make them humanoid? And let's say he succeeded in the end. He made one that would not revert. What then? Would he have, what would he have used it for? Would he have, what would he have used it for? Would he have brought it back to civilization to show them, look, this is what we can achieve? Because any way you look at it, it's horrifying, and not to mention animal abuse. But again, what would have been the end? Make these creatures that would serve a purpose? That's just the thing. I can kind of see, perfecting it, and then having those creatures mate, and then begin to make more of each other through that. But then what would that look like? Because in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, for instance, his goal seems to be to make pairs so they would multiply. Oh, and Pendrick's there too, actually. In this case, he's not on an island in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But yeah, just the whole concept of this is amazing and horrifying, and could lead to so many awesome stories. I would love to see this as a manga or as a video game. I wonder if anyone's ever made a video, like a la Outlast. Make a game where you're, I know, I think maybe one of these experiments and you're trying to escape. That would be fucking cool. Because in the book, Moreau is, although he does this thing and Pendrick perceives a certain evil in him, he's not really, doesn't really seem really that evil. He's just, hey, he makes these experiments, he commands these beasts, but that's it. Doesn't necessarily beat them, he wants to create the sort of humanoid animal. And he continues to see how to do that. And again, the whole concept is just awesome. Awesomely terrifying, but awesome. Again, this is one I wish that was longer. Because I would have loved to read more about this. I should probably look up. Maybe someone did write some more after this. But again, just the horrors in this short book were fascinating to read. I really love these. Definitely. I'm going to see if I can find out more. I don't know if I'll watch the movie. I don't think again, by the looks of it, I don't think it's going to capture what was in this book. Just the sense of dread and horror at what Pendrick has witnessed. But yeah, that's about it. I think I'm going to have to stop here because my throat is about to give up on me. But yeah, I feel like, Fucked Up Stories, I recommend this one. If you like H.G. Wells stories, I also recommend this one. So let me know down below in the comments if you read The Island of Dr. Moreau and what did you think about it. And that is it. Remember, collect what you're passionate about and share it on YouTube. Bye!